Hi, and welcome to In the Front Row, all things reactions, reviews, and interviews. My name is Jamie Lee, and joining me on the channel today, I have the lovely Kersti Bryan, who plays Sandra, also known as You Should Be Scared, on the very first episode of Tales of the Walking Dead. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, Jamie, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me all the way from the other side of the world.
Yeah, of course. I'm super excited to have you on the channel too, because you are the very first guest that I've had who is or who has worked within my favorite universe, obviously the Walking Dead universe. So I'm very excited to chat to you.
Okay, let's go.
So, first questions first. Were you a fan of The Walking Dead prior to applying for Tales?
Yes. I mean, when that first season came out, I think it was a surprise to all of us that it was such a good show. And that the acting was so good, just everything was so good. I loved the show.
Yeah.
And to
Oh,
be
well, that's good to
part of
know.
it, yeah, over the years you get opportunities to audition, and I kept like throwing my name in the hat, being like, oh my gosh, please, one of
Please.
these, let me be on the show.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an amazing thing. 'Cause it's a whole different like spinoff.
Yeah. And so when you applied for this spin-off, did you know that you were going to be in the pilot episode? Like, did you know you would be in episode 1, or you had no clue?
No, so I had no idea. They weren't giving us a sense of what was the order, and also I wasn't aware of the what the other shows were. The only thing I knew of anything was that sometimes when I was on set, you'd see design or something like that. They'd be like lugging out something for a different world, like different like
Different
story.
episode.
I
Yeah.
was like, what is that? Like, because I wanted to know. And then there was like, a hilarious picture of Parker Posey in the dressing room. And I was
Right.
like, oh, she's
She's
in
in
there.
it.
And so it was like more just like each was a little bit surprised. And so when I went for ADR, which is basically you go and you put, earphones on, and we've shot the thing and they are now in post, they're working on it. So you go and help sound if they can't hear something or they're trying to fix something. So that's when I was with the sound folks. So sorry, this is New York City. They basically let me know. They're like, I think you guys might be the premiere. And I was like,
What?
oh, so that's exciting. I mean, I was excited regardless, but that was exciting. That
Yeah,
was
for
awesome.
sure. Yeah. You must feel like they've got a lot of trust in you to be that pilot episode. Like you either hook people in or you don't with that first one.
Yeah, I think I'm hopeful. I think that like you say, that people are fans and you're a fan and you want to please the fans with that pilot episode. So I'm sure everybody has an opinion, and that is valid and awesome, and but as long as it gets them like thinking, or like hooks them a tiny bit. Like,
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah,
I definitely loved episode 1, and I think one of the main or not one of the main reasons, I love the story, but I also found it really interesting that there was only 3 characters in the whole episode. Like, that is very, very hard to keep people engaged when there's such a little cast. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed episode 1. I thought it was great. So did you know that there would only be the 3 of you?
yeah.
You didn't know a lot.
You have to understand, like, they retain the information as much as they can because they want to surprise the fans. So I had auditioned with dummy sides, which means like it's not the real script.
Okay.
So I thought she was maybe a doctor that was like having a hard time, like, and obviously maybe kills people on her table. Like, that's all I could figure. Like, that was
Right.
like what I could deduce from what was sent to me. And so that was my audition, as I put that. And so then I booked the job, and then I got down, into it, into Atlanta, and I was like, this is awesome. And I finally was like, maybe we're like 5 days, 6 days out. And I was like, hey, it'd be great if I could see a script. That'd be so
5 or 6
helpful
days.
just to prepare. But, it's like, so I assumed, because, what I knew of The Walking Dead, I was like, I bet this character is something that they like, you know, our main characters, of whom I didn't know what was going to be in the spinoff. I was like, maybe they're going to come across this character and she's going to die. You know, she'll be in like for a few scenes and, you know, maybe the end.
Yeah.
But what I was not expecting is when the script came and there were only 3 people in it. And I was like, oh, there's
That's
been a
it.
mistake. But then I was like, oh, Sandra's got like a ride. Like she's like really like from sweet to totally like bonkers. I don't want to say bonkers, but you know, she takes a ride, and
Yes.
that's so exciting. That's so exciting to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You're perfectly fine to call her bonkers, because in my review, because I reviewed every episode, and I did call her batshit crazy in episode 1.
Yes.
Which is a great description of her. Totally true.
Yeah. But I mean, the truth is how would any of us like survive this? And then you hope that we all stay like within reason, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to talk to you a little bit about, because as a fan, obviously I have these crazy predictions and things like that. And part of me is very conflicted, because I think, you know, maybe it was the loneliness and the paranoia kicks in. And obviously Sandra did say that she was attacked one night by a man who tried to enter, or did enter, the bunker. And so I think, oh, you know, maybe that triggered these killings. But then there's also a side of me that thinks, did she have these tendencies prior to the apocalypse? Because, you know, she was a doomsday prepper, as we know, who was chatting with Joe online, but it seems like she was only chatting with these men, because when Evie does rock up, Evie says, you should be scared. And she asks, how did you know my handle? So she was very surprised that a woman or a female had been in contact with her, right? And then
I am loving this.
Sorry, my brain is Walking Dead brain.
I love this.
And then with the Watchers, they all look male. So I assume that everyone that's tried to enter her bunker has been a male. And I think, well, has she ever let a female in? Or is she just going on this rampage of killing men because she's a serial killer? And that's what they do. Their character trait, if you could call it that, is collecting items from their victims, I guess. So part of me thinks, yeah, maybe it was the paranoia and she's lonely. And then part of me thinks maybe she was batshit crazy from the start and trying to lure people in. What do you believe?
So funny that you ask this, because I was talking to Ron, who's our director, Ron Underwood, and as I was preparing, and you know, at the beginning of it, you hear a little voiceover where they're kind of in conversation, and you get a sense of like this dialogue that these two have had.
Yeah.
And you should be scared says, I just lost my husband. Let's meet in IRL. And I asked Ron, I was like, what happened to her husband?
Wow, I never thought of that.
Where is he? Like, how did that happen? And Ron was, I don't think they said yes or no to it. He was like, I don't think so, or maybe I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
But like, you know, for my money, like there's a part of me was like, maybe she did kill her husband and this has been kind of her trend, or maybe she lost her husband in some way and that just broke her, and that, you know, we could go any number of ways. But that was like my red herring was, I was like, the men around her do keep dying somehow.
Yeah. And another thing too was with the makeup. Like she put on this face to kill Joe, but then when Evie rocked up outside the bunker, she actually took that makeup off and she went out to greet her as Sandra. So it was like, you know, does she believe that she has these two sort of personalities, one that's a killer and one that's, you know, just, I don't know, regular doomsday prepper?
She's trying to cover up her process. You know, I've actually gotten a lot of questions of like, why did she put her makeup on? What is that? I mean, we could go so many different ways. For me, there was a part of me that loves the idea that she actually doesn't want to be a serial killer, but it just seems to always end up this way. Like,
yeah,
you know, that she really wanted Joe to be like who she remembered, and then we don't see it, but he does one thing and she knows. She just knows. But I love the idea that she like could have had love, and she was like, you know, saw Joe and then like I don't think she brought him down with the idea that she was going to kill
Kill
him,
him.
but
Yeah.
it always goes this way. And
Yeah.
then the makeup thing, you know, this could be her process of how she does this every time, or maybe she just really wanted him to have a beautiful face before, like, he dies.
And maybe
She
she
wants
thought that that was a
wants
beautiful
to look
face.
her
Yeah.
best. Yeah, she wants to look
Yeah.
her best.
Yeah, fair
Um,
enough.
and, you know, I think it's like being like in a bunker for a year. Probably the same thing like after COVID, where I like walked out and I was like, I think I'm looking my best. And I was like, no,
Nope.
no, no, it's not normal. And I think she's just further into it, where it's like what she's doing is like is to us would not be normal, but to her, I think she looks great.
One of the things that she does, to quote her, is the music saved her from the screams. What song do you think you would have on repeat that would probably save you in those sort of terms?
Oh my gosh. The genius of these writers. I'm so glad you asked about this song, because as I was prepping, I was listening to this song, and there's a line that I have. She goes, you know, if you don't like it, I can flip it over to the
To the
B-side.
B-side. Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, so what is that song? What? And so if you flip it over, there's another great song that kind of expresses exactly what's about to happen. Like it's like they're so good, these writers.
Wow. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Like because you really, to put music into film and TV, I don't know how much you're aware, it's very hard to get the rights to music. So even like a happy birthday or a, you know, anything like that, like you have
Mm-hmm.
to, the writers have to really want that song. They're like,
Yeah.
we need that song to make it happen. And so that means their legal department goes and like chases the song and like
Yeah.
begs like permission. I don't think they really need to beg, because it's Tales of the Walking Dead. They're probably so thrilled that it's
Featured.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't know what my song would be, but I can tell you what I was listening to as I was prepping this. The Buckeyes or whatever was Terry Crews's character's favorite thing. I was like, okay, so who are these? What is this team? Like, what?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going down my, like, you know, just doing research, and they have a band, like a big marching band called
Mm-hmm.
like the Ohio State Marching Band. And they did a cover of Don't Stop Believing
Oh, yeah.
that is so good.
Yeah.
So the truth is, like, as I was like in my car going to set, like that, I just played that again and
Over and
again and again.
over. Yeah. Well,
Just
that's a good motto
just for
too, to keep believing. Keep believing that the apocalypse is going to end. Yeah. That'd be
that.
a good song to have on repeat for sure.
I would definitely recommend go chasing that song because it's so good.
And speaking of, you just mentioned Terry Crews. You worked alongside Terry and also Olivia Munn. Can you talk us through what that was like? Because they're two very well-known actors that you were, you know, must have been very excited to work alongside.
Yes, and intimidated for sure. You know, when I work, sometimes I do my best not to look people up, because that can really get in my head. Like sometimes, because you just want to go and tell the story together, and but
Yeah.
because they are so well known, there's nothing. And also, it was just us together, and we have a very small amount of time
Mm.
to be together. So in a sense, part of the prep is like me knowing their work well, so that, you know, we have some shorthand. Yeah, so Terry was so kind, and really just what I knew of him was I'd seen him in Brooklyn 911, which
Yeah, no,
was
no.
yeah, but it's like he's so funny, and I was like, okay, so he's a great comedian, but he's also just a great actor. And things I didn't know about Terry was he's also an artist. He designs furniture. He and his wife have been married, I think, since college.
Wow.
This great family. I mean, truly just consistently vibing high. And he, being on set with him, he doesn't even bring his phone to set. Like, he's just with you.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, so he just teaches you what leadership looks like. That is the truth. And
Yeah.
Olivia is so huggable and witty and funny. And, you know, if you really look at her work, she's she really can move. She's a martial artist, and she was on a number of shows that really are text heavy, meaning like she can move fast, like
Yeah.
through language.
Yeah.
And so that means she's wicked smart. And
Mm.
that is, she is so fun to be around. And at that moment, she's got a new baby, and so that was all very fun, just to be with
Aw.
her.
Yeah, I
Because
recognize her from X-Men Apocalypse. So she was one of the characters in that. And as you said,
yeah,
yeah, very good with the, movement and things like that. But, and also Terry, as you mentioned, a very funny guy. But what I didn't realize is, because same with you, I've seen him in Brooklyn Nine-Nine and, White Chicks, where he always plays that funny role. But as you said, in this, there was really serious moments as well, and I never got to see that from him in any, I mean, he might have done work, serious roles, but I've never watched them. So it was really nice to see both of them really in a different context. And I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, I got to admit, I also really liked that there was funny parts to this show. Like, I didn't expect to laugh in the first episode of Walking Dead, A Tales of the Walking Dead. And I did.
that's so good. Yeah, no, I mean, when I read the script, I was like, this isn't what I remember of The Walking Dead. Like,
Yeah.
other scripts, like, or like when I was like, this has got laughs, and also they're asking like a very vibrant, like, like Sandra comes in with a lot of color,
Mm-hmm.
more so than I think the world has seen in some ways, because it's like, it's a kind of a dark, bleak world, but
Yeah.
then like she comes in bonkers, and just she's been living in her bunker and staying healthy and doing her thing, and so not like, just a different vibe. And so I also was, I found it great, because that gave us some, if that's what they were wanting to do, which it was, uh like, just do something interesting in a different tone, different everything, that gave us some freedom to kind of be like, okay, let's give you a different take on
Yeah.
this. It's like, it's not what's happening with these characters, it's what's happening with our characters. And so I'm so glad you laughed. That's
Yeah,
good.
I
That's
definitely did. And I
I
think one of my favorite ones was your line when you popped out of the bunker to meet Evie and she said,
You should be scared? Is that a question or a warning? Both. And yes, and yes.
That's become a meme, which I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled, because she has,
yeah.
like, kind of like funny hair, and like,
I love it. What do you think was the funniest line of the show? Did you laugh at any other lines in there?
my gosh, what was, I thought Evie had some great lines. I thought their banter was very funny.
Great.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I really
I
like that they keep with the theme of, I call it taking the piss out of Terry Crews, because we all know him as he is so buff and so fit. And I think one of Evie's lines was something like,
Happy story, Mr. Sunshine. You just hold up with your protein powder?
really taking the piss out of his fitness and being this strong man. I thought that was great.
yeah, I think that's fantastic. So that kind of stuff, I loved their banter together, and
Yeah.
like that stuff, I felt like was like a great, like, quirky pair that I would love to follow through the world together. I don't know if it's a love pair or if they're just gonna be pals. I cannot say, but
Yeah.
they are mismatched and and funny. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So I
as you
think they're,
said, they're, heading off into the sunset together. But that's one of the issues that I had, I guess, because I was like, you have a perfect bunker right there.
yeah,
And we
doesn't
have,
make sense.
yeah, we go out into the nighttime and just wander off with all the walkers.
I know. All I can figure is that maybe they're like only a year in and they don't know just how dire things are, but I can't imagine that's true. I don't know.
Don't know.
Maybe they're gonna return, they know where it is.
Yeah.
These are really good questions.
They are. And
Why they
some
didn't raid that thing? Why? I mean, I'm just down there zombieing it up for eternity.
and
So
yeah, that's an interesting thing too, that they didn't actually kill you. You know what I mean? They just left you in there in your little home.
yeah, I'm just there. Yeah. zombieing it up
Yep.
down there. Yeah.
Oh dear. And so
I love that. I love that. Sandra's always a survivor. She'll always make it.
yeah, yeah. Was that really fun to you to play, a character and then also to play the zombie version of that character as well? You got sort of the best of both worlds there?
Yes, of course. That was amazing. We were shooting very late at night, obviously, and we were running out of time, and we had to get to these final zombie scenes. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to play my own zombie because like I had to be in other scenes,
Oh,
but
right, yeah.
and the zombie makeup takes time. So
Mm.
what they can do is they can use like my stunt double, Rachel, and I talked to Rachel and I was like, Rachel, are you okay if I play the zombie? And she's like, oh yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna politic it a bit. Like, so I was like, anybody that would listen, I'd be like, hey, just checking in. Is it okay if I play the zombie? Can I play the zombie?
Can I have
They're like,
some fun with this?
given the opportunity, when else would I be able to be a zombie?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's
yeah.
not often that you get to experience that.
No. And also just and then of course they have like a whole like the movement fight choreographers came over and they like gave me my like zombie 101 movement and like
Oh, I love it.
like move this way, that's what happens to the body, they're breathing this way. And yeah, so I mean it's a really interesting, like they're so specific on
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
This is why I
Yeah.
love chatting with people on my channel, because we watch these movies and we don't know, as a fan, we don't know all of these little details that goes on into it looking like that. Like it comes across on the screen and it looks brilliant, but we don't realize the tiny little things like the way a zombie would breathe that people have to learn in order to show us how a zombie breathes. There's so much that goes into movies or shows.
Oh yes. And also they have a whole, because there's been so many seasons, they've kind of perfected the art. There's a whole team that specializes in the zombie makeup. So there's a team of makeup that does like our living creatures, and then there's the team of makeup that do the walkers. Yeah, but they are good at it. Ooh, they're good at it.
Yeah, for sure. And so a question for Kersti, would you, if you were in an apocalypse, would you have left your bunker in order to go and find company, or would you have stayed? Because he had a perfectly good bunker as well at the start there. So would you, as Kersti, leave a perfectly good bunker to go find company?
Yes, probably. I think, I don't know how other folks experience the pandemic, but I did spend some time by myself, and you're just like, oh, this is unsustainable.
Yeah.
This. So I think he probably made a tough call, but he had his bike, he had his stuff.
Yeah.
And he lost it. But in a sense, maybe get back to his bunker. It's a tough decision to make. I mean, because like the small amount of training I've had in like wilderness training, the training really is like, don't leave the shelter unless you absolutely have to. There is a way he could have tried to bring, companions to him. But again, there was only one person he trusted, and that was this woman that he had met. So that's the thing, is like, I think maybe he also felt like, I can't go out looking for friends because everybody's going to take my stuff.
Yeah, same sort of attitude that Sandra had. Oh, I would have left in a heartbeat. I really would, because, well, firstly, I don't like being alone. And I truly believe, I mean, I don't know what the story was with Sandra, if it was the isolation, or if she was a serial killer, to begin with. But I do believe that isolation would kill you, or not kill you necessarily, but it would send you loopy. Maybe not for some people because they might like being alone, but I don't. I like talking to people. And yes, you can say that the music saved you, but who do you have that conversation with every day, just to even use your words, like imagine just being locked in this bunker and not even opening your mouth for a whole day. It's a scary thought. And I feel sorry for people who were in the pandemic and, maybe the elderly people or things like that, who people, couldn't communicate with or couldn't speak to during those times, because it would have been hard. I know for sure, hands down, even if I had a safe bunker, I would have gone out to search for somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, or like that, or get a pet, like get an animal
Yeah.
with you.
Some sort of company or someone to talk to and just keep your mind ticking over, you know, otherwise it probably won't.
Yeah, I mean that, and so I think in the prepper community there is a big part of the planning is knowing your community and knowing, like, building it out so that you have those people like ready to go, and like it all like falls apart. I think also there is a kind of this loner mentality. I mean, if you're going down the rabbit hole of this kind of stuff and you're getting a bunker and like you're just kind of like I'm taking care of my own, you know, you might not be in the habit of reaching out and making those relationships. I think you
Yeah.
and I are much more like, you know, open and chatty. So I think that would be, you'd have to like know that that's a skill you have to learn. Like, you know, it's like you need to go make a friend. You
Yeah.
need that.
Yeah. Now let's just talk about The Walking Dead, the original series. Which character would you have liked to have played if you could have played in the actual Walking Dead universe?
I couldn't say. What about you?
I love Carol. Carol is my favorite person. Her character arc, she's just gone from this woman who was like domestically abused and she thought nothing of herself to literally saving the entire group. Like she has just progressed into this strong, badass woman. And I have said multiple times on my channel, if they kill her off, I'm going to be very pissed off because she's my favorite.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. No,
You've
gonna give her.
Yeah.
They're gonna probably give her a full-on spin-off. I mean, I agree with you. She's so fabulous. Yeah. I'll piggyback on you. Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah. And what about the actors? Is there a certain actor that you would have liked to work alongside with?
You know, the original like season, that would have been so fun to be part of. Like, you know, just kind of finding their way, and like I just felt like that whole group was, I mean, every season has been wonderful, but like truly the first couple seasons were so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, talking about your acting, is there a certain routine or is there something special that you do to remember your lines or to practice? Is there a certain routine to that?
Oh, interesting question. Honestly, it varies wildly. Sometimes text is very easy. Like you'll be like, oh, I got it. Or you're Shakespeare, and like that's going to take some time. So I've used all number of things, like writing it down, recording it. The one thing that I love the most, and you can never get it, is like getting your baby brother to run the lines with you. Like I like to like get him on Zoom, and I'll like Venmo him like $10. So I was like, I just need you to do this. And actually my best friend Dan, we do this for each other. You know, he's the new dad, so his only time is like in the middle of the night. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll call you at 11 p.m. And so that's when I like, okay, that's my line learning time. And so like I do as much as I can, and then like we get on the phone and we drill. And that's so important, because if you're going to go onto set, there's really no time to not be so prepared. When you're in a play, I love to just kind of explore text and like be in rehearsal. By the way, not great always, because I'm like, Kersti, do you know your lines? And I'm like, they'll be there. Don't but the truth is like I've used any number of things to kind of like make it stay. But also you want to be able to not get in too much lock rhythm, because like sometimes when you're memorizing, it has to sound fresh, like that you're just saying it. So it's like you kind of have to know it so well, but also be in a place where you can throw everything away. So it's like it's a delicate thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. But you're not only just an actor, you have directed and written, if I'm correct in saying that, a short.
So we have a short film. I co-wrote it with two friends, but it was my directorial debut, and we directed, we shot it right before the pandemic, March 14th, 15th in Brooklyn, New York. Like, you know, at that moment, we didn't know really what was going on, but we knew that the city was under duress, and there's a long story to that, but we made it. We were the last production to deliver equipment at Panavision after our shoot.
Wow.
Everything had been shut down. So this film was meant as like like talking about, you know, 6 women that are coming together for a party. They're dyeing eggs, like they're like in an egg decorating party, and they're laughing and they're drinking and they're having a great time, and then each woman gets like a portrait, and they're a portrait of what their egg is doing. And then you realize, oh, they've all come together to be with their friend Molly, who's suffering with miscarriage, and we don't really know the outcome for her, but they're like there with her. And so when this happened, so we've been on the festival circuit, and we played Australia, actually, this Australia Indie Festival. We were so happy to be there. So when this happened in June, you know, I don't know much about the distribution of short films, but there's not, like, if you have like a feature length film, like there's distribution there. It's like you go and try to find a way to get it on Amazon or Netflix or something. It's like, if you're lucky, there's just some way that you can like get it to like a bigger audience. And there's like ways to do this, but for a short film, you know, there are some curated like shorts that like come together that you'd watch on the airplane, or, you know, things like that. But at the end of the day, like, you and I aren't watching shorts all the time, right? So it's like, what is a short film? So when we were talking about distribution, there's ways like you could put it on behind a paywall, and like, you know, for 99 cents somebody could watch it,
Right.
but we never make our money back. But also, that was not the spirit of the film. The film really is meant to be a comfort to people. But the dream audience that we always felt was like, it's a woman watching it on her phone in her bathroom, and she sends it to a friend. Like, that's like our dream. So it has to be online and shareable. So that's going to come out actually in the next couple of weeks. So that's exciting.
Fantastic, because that was the first thing that I wanted to ask. I haven't read it. I've read it. I haven't watched it.
I know, but don't worry. It's 10 minutes. It won't kill you.
No, I want to watch it because I think it's a message. This is what I was hoping to say to you. Like, thank you for directing it, because I suffer with infertility. I have had a miscarriage. I do, thankfully, praise God or somebody, there's a miracle. Miracles do work, because I do have a daughter, but I tried 6.5 years to have that daughter. That is a very long time of struggling, and people don't understand because it isn't spoken about. And it isn't spoken about because it hurts. It's upsetting. And that's the truth, it is. But it needs to be spoken about so that people like me, when that happens, we don't feel alone. We don't feel like we are sitting in our bathroom, you know, whatever's happening down there with just a husband. And some people don't even have husbands to support them. Some people might be, you know, single mums trying to start a family and things like this. So it's definitely a topic, motherhood, infertility, fertility in general, that does need to be spoken about. And you don't often see it in films. You know, you see people that, they have an infertility issue, and then at the end of the movie there's a miracle and they have a baby, but it doesn't always happen that way. And some people don't want children. Do you know what I mean? Like, every woman is different. Every family is built in a different way. And it's really nice to have any highlight to all of that.
Oh, thank you. Honestly,
I'm getting a bit deep there.
This film that was really made for you, you know, and also is as a warm hug to all of our friends that are facing that question of motherhood. And maybe you don't want it. Maybe you were trying to get your career off the ground and you're like, I don't know when this can be. What's the good time for this?
Yeah. And that's totally fine to have those, you know, different opinions or different wants in life.
Or, you know, you are seeking motherhood through pregnancy, and that for whatever reason, you know, this is your experience, and it's so lonely and horribly, like, so yeah, I'm so excited to get your thoughts, Jamie, on it. Honestly, truly. That's I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So that will come out. That'll come out next week, I think. And really, I just don't want it to get eaten by the internet. I want it to be like able to reach the people that need it. But again, back to the note about asterisk footnote being an American woman at present. Suddenly all this legislation that has really taken away women's rights, maternal health, like, you know, just really frightening stuff. And so it kind of takes the conversation and makes it this small, where you're like, you know, it's only about abortion. It's only about these things. Yes, I mean, it's about choice, but it's also about a woman being able to get the care she needs in a pregnancy, in a complicated pregnancy, in a, you know, it's like right now, women are going to get hurt, like in the United States. I am of the mind that let's get these abortion rates down. If this is like your concern, let's talk about it. But the reality is those numbers are not going to change, even if you criminalize it. It's just going to make this way, way more dangerous. And women are going to be way, way more terrified and doing things that, you know, out of a lot of fear and misinformation. And this is an American thing, by the way.
We do see it on the news, you know, some of the highlights and stuff. And I just think, oh, it's so scary, the world that we live in. You know what I mean? It's really scary. That's the only word that I can use to describe it.
Yeah. Wild. 2022.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee. 2022.
We're supposed to be moving forward, and it seems like we're sort of going backwards with some aspects of life. Well, I can't wait to watch Egg Party. I'm hoping that it comes out soon so that, you know, we can all watch it.
And then we can have another conversation.
For sure.
But yeah, it'll be out probably next week on the internet, and you're following my stuff. It'll be so clear. It'll be so clear.
Oh, good. Well, I'll definitely give it a review and give it some plug, hopefully to get the message out there and, you know, open the conversation, which is the whole point, I believe, of your short, you know, to open that conversation up and talk about women's rights, motherhood, fertility, things like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I won't waste any more of your time. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're not wasting a minute of my time. I want you to go back to sleep.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes. Oh, that was fun. Thank you.